Here we go. Hey, everybody. This is Joseph Pasek and to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to NBA Jump Ball second round playoff preview with the long range bomber Tracy Murray. And on the phone, he's having computer problems. Yeah, I don't know if he's on the phone or taking, a little bit of a stoppage in the washroom. Norm Rumack. Norm, say hi.
Hi, Joe. Just for this NBA segment with our legendary long range bomber Tracy Murray, I even wore a basketball tank top, Joe. So I'm so heartbroken that Trey can't see my basketball tank top. I'm sure he appreciates it.
At least, I know me and you, Trace, know him very well. What are you wearing in the bottom? Nobody wants to know. He's wearing a tank top, but never mind. All right, second round playoff begin. Trace, give me your overall. So summarize the first round or surprises of the first round.
To me, it's no surprises what happened in the first round. Everybody that won, in my opinion, was supposed to win. You're looking at the second and third seeds losing on the Western Conference, but I didn't see a surprise there. I didn't think the Lakers were going to advance, and I didn't think Houston was going to advance. Houston has a lot of talent, but they lack experience. They're going to be dangerous in a few years if everybody can stay together.
Feet had a good series.
The Lakers, they don't have a big, they don't play defense, so I didn't expect them to win either.
All right, so let's look at the second round underway just a day ago here. A surprise, Indiana beating Cleveland in Cleveland, and I got to say, Pascal really doing a good job in Indiana. What do you say, Trace?
Just that whole team are a bunch of little killers running around there. They shoot the three well. They're always in attack mode. They speed the game up. Defensively, they're good. I mean, right now, if there's any surprises, was that first game, was game one in Cleveland. But you also have to look at the lack of experience that Cleveland has. They only have Donovan Mitchell really that's been in the playoffs. Everybody else is, they're just getting their feet wet with the playoffs. But when it comes down to that Indiana team, they were fighting in the playoffs last year. They were that young team figuring it out, getting their feet wet. Now they know what it is. So they're coming with another year of experience.
I got to ask you this, and in the truth, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Norm is not on the show here because he got in a fight with Halliburton's dad. All right. So he got in a fight with Halliburton's dad, and apparently, he did a number on his eye and all that. Norm uses all this mascara and everything like that. Norm, you go ahead. Your next question.
Okay. I'm trying to sort out your previous comment first, but I was going to ask you to hold my phone close to.
Yes,
Trace,
boss.
Please and thank you. Okay. So, Trace, how much does the absence of Darius Garland, the big toe injury, because they're saying he might miss a couple more games, how much does that hurt them in terms of their overall play?
It hurts a lot. That's your all-star, another all-star, and a guy that's capable of making plays and putting up numbers. And when you don't have that guy on the floor, that's been one of your soldiers all year. When you down one man and then the next person pops up in your position, it's not the same. His backup is giving numbers, but he doesn't make the same exact plays that Garland makes to help his team win.
All right. Any more questions, Norm?
Yeah. Can I move on to the Knicks and Celtics?
Yes, move on to the Knicks and Celtics. But say hi to your buddy who sits at courtside in New York, Spike Lee.
Oh, well, hi, how are you? nice to talk. Okay. Oh, Trace, there's a lot of intriguing matchups about this Boston-New York series. Give us your scouting report, especially on the guard matchups between the Celtics and the Knicks.
I think the Celtic guards can match up with the Knicks guards. I mean, of course, it's going to come down to getting stops. and defense at the end. They have guys that are capable, experienced guys that are capable of stepping up. And let's talk about the regular season for a second. The Knicks didn't win a game, so let's that means a lot mentally for the Knicks going into the series. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, when you say mentally, do guys get? This isn't the right term for it, but do guys look back on the regular season record and get, for lack of a better expression, psyched out by it? In other words, hey, why do we struggle so much with these guys? Like, or does a simple breakdown on video with the coach, is that able to explain it to them where they're coming up short?
Well, some players are, not all players. It's just your key players can't be the ones that are psyched out. That's the main thing. And then if you look at, the Knicks, they can't depend on one or two people to go get 40 or 50 in order for them to win. Everybody has to contribute, and defensively, they're going to have to really lock down because Boston shoots a lot of threes and they make a lot of threes and they have a lot of matchup issues. Who's guarding Porzingis? Derek White comes off and has big games. You already know about Brown and Tatum. I'm talking about the others. The others is who's winning the game. The Drew Holidays, that's who's winning the game for them. It's not just the stars. They are deep. They have guys that contribute 1 through 8. You have the 6th man of the year. You have a lot of people who are contributing to Boston. So they have to figure out what didn't work the first time, which obviously they lost every game. So they're going to have to come up with a different game plan. What that game plan is I'm going to be interested to see.
Yeah, and just one more question before Joe jumps back in. Do they put more than one guy? Like, how do you defend yourself against Brunson, who's a brilliant, brilliant guard?
I would guard Brunson, alone. Allow him to get big numbers. That means if he's shooting the ball, no one else is touching it. You don't involve Cat. You don't involve, OG. You don't involve all the other guys that's there. You win the game. If he's going to go get 40 or 50, you win because no one else is touching the ball.
Got it. Great answer. Thanks, Trace.
All right. So let's, first of all, I don't know if you gave your prediction for Cleveland, Indiana, first of all. Trace, go ahead. How many games and who you got in that one?
I think it's going to go 7, 6 or 7, because Cleveland is not going to lay down. And it all depends on game 2. We already know what happened game 1. It depends on what happens game 2. Game 2 can change everything. If Indiana wins game 2, it can be a sweep.
Okay.
We got to see what type of fight that Cleveland has at home for the second game.
All right, and you talked about Boston, New York. I assume you like Boston in that series and probably 6 or 7, right?
Yes, I take Boston and about, it might be 5 or 6.
Really, 5 or 6?
It might be 5 or 6, yeah. Because as I say again, the Celtics have a game plan that's been working. Why change it?
All right, so now let's get to Minnesota, Golden State. This is an intriguing matchup because Golden State, I think, started off in the 10th seed, right? Or they
started off in the play-in tournament. Yeah,
the 10th seed. They moved into the 7th. They beat the 2nd seed. Now Minnesota and everybody, like, let's be honest, in the West, we love to see Oklahoma, Minnesota. That's going to be a series, but we'll talk about that later. But who do you like in that series? And let's break that series. Golden State, Steph Curry is going for one more, right? And with Draymond Green and everything, and Minnesota, the Ant-Man is unstoppable, like you guys talked about.
Well, I mean, it also depends on how healthy Jimmy Butler is. He did take a heck of a fall in that Houston series. Like, how healthy is he? That's the X factor. Not only offensively, but also defensively. He might be the only guy that can guard Anthony Edwards. So, and then here's another thing. Who besides Ant-Man is going to step up against the Warriors? It's got to be more than one person. And what's their game plan on Steph Curry? Because Houston had a brilliant one. They almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
So I don't think Golden State's very deep. I just think the guys that play are experienced. They're trustworthy. They can still play. So, and they know how to win.
All right. And who's your call in that series? And then I'll throw it back to Norm.
Honestly, I'm going to take Golden State in 7.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew.
I'm going with the experience.
Magic.
I'm going with the experience. And it all depends on Jimmy Butler. If he's healthy, I'm taking him in 7.
And Jimmy Butler, nobody has talked about it, but he'll be motivated to play Minnesota, right?
Absolutely. So yep.
He does not want to be injured, and if he has nicks and all that, but I think he'll come up big in that series. Norm, go ahead. Next question.
Yeah, I was going to go back, Trace, to the Celtics. Does Tatum already compare with what he's done in his still relatively young career to some of the all-time great Boston Celtics? Like, what is the, looking skyward potential for Tatum if he stays healthy for several more years?
I think Tatum can get a lot better. And the reason why I say that is because the reason why he didn't play on the Dream Team was because he couldn't play without the basketball. That's the part he needs to get better at, learning how to play without the basketball. And that's easy. All it is simple movement, crashing offensive boards. If he can learn how to play without the basketball and still be effective, his numbers will go up. Right now, when you have the basketball in your hand and you're isoing people, all eyes are on you. And there's all pressure on that shot because the defense is locked in on what you're doing. Now, take the ball out of his hands and he's still moving, then he can get a couple of easy shots like backdoor layups, offensive rebound putbacks, maybe sprint in transition instead of, jog for threes. That team shoots an unbelievable amount of threes. Even though they make a lot of them, they live and die by it. And if you can get easy buckets, it will help you as far as your points per game average. I think that's where he can improve at.
All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. By the way, there's all that legendary history of the Celtics that Tatum knows like the back of his hand, like we all know, in terms of their Red Auerbach and the last couple of championships. Obviously, the pressure doesn't affect them negatively, but in fact, does that pressure, that expectation help them? In other words, we know what our legacy is and what we have to live up to. Does that, in fact, make them better because that kind of pressure is a good thing, Tracy? Is that the way it works?
It doesn't help them nowadays because no one cares about history nowadays. The young crews, they don't care about tradition. They don't care about history. Maybe in the people that respect history back in the day, maybe it would spook them a little bit. But these kids are young and they're fearless and they go after people. They don't care about who came before. All they're worrying about who they're staring at right now.
All right, let's talk about the final series. And this, to me, probably is the best series of the second round. Oklahoma, the number 1 seed, versus Denver. We got an MVP versus, hopefully this year, the MVP of the league. This is a toss-up, definitely 6-7 games. What do you say, Trace?
I think OKC is going to win this series. And the reason why I say it, and I know they're not as experienced, and Denver's got, has a championship, but Denver is not the same exact team that they were when they won the championship. There's pieces that were crucial that's no longer there. Brown was one of them. Caldwell Pope was another one. You had, those two guys got after it, and you don't have that type of experience coming off the bench or starting. So they don't have the same personnel that they won it with. They do have Westbrook, who's definitely a shot in the arm, and he was a shot in the arm against the Clippers. He was motivated against them. but he don't provide the same exact punch as those guys. Those guys are, they provided on the defensive end, and Caldwell Pope would knock down or even Brown would knock down a crucial 3-point shot, and Westbrook is going to make plays for you. He made a couple of crucial 3-point shots against the Clippers, but he was motivated against the Clippers. Will OKC play Westbrook the same way? I don't know. Westbrook is going to be also motivated because it's OKC. So you do have to factor that in. But with the distraction of the coach being fired and all of that, that's still there. I mean, is Coach Adelman, the younger Adelman? I played for the older Adelman. Will he be able to steer this team in the right direction to win against OKC? That's the question.
I want to talk about the point guards, and you know why. Shea, Canadian, eh? Norm,
Yep.
He's Canadian, eh? Against
I heard he knows Hamilton quite well.
And Jamal Murray, Canadian, eh? So who do you think will win the battle of the point guards?
Shea. It's no question is going to win the battle of the point guards.
All right.
Shea is up for MVP. Shea is, in my opinion, he's probably the most unstoppable guy in the league right now. I mean, he's unbelievable. But where his team's success is going to be based on his playmaking and the team's defense. If he can continue to make plays and score, he's dangerous. You got to make him do one or the other. You got to either make him a scorer or you got to make him a playmaker. If he's doing both, he's killing you. That's the same thing with Joker. If you got to make him be a scorer or a playmaker. If he's doing both, he's killing you.
All right. Well, one last question before Noam jumps in here. What if I asked you, now we're in the second round, and you know where I'm going with this one. What do you think is the perfect NBA Finals matchup for fans? Not like, of course, a Golden State or whatever, but for fans. Is it Cleveland, Oklahoma? Is it Boston, Oklahoma? Is it in the West Final? Is it, like I mentioned,
OKC,
Oklahoma, Minnesota?
OKC,
Sorry?
Boston. OKC, Boston.
And why?
Well, Shea being the MVP candidate, and then Boston being the defending champions.
All right. Norm,
there's no one else that can compete with Boston on the West.
You may have, because obviously because of technology, I can't necessarily hear all of your answers, but I'll ask anyway. The net impact of the Lakers losing as they did, I mean, they pulled off one of the biggest trades and one of the shocking trades of the decade, and yet here they are, they're going golfing basically. Is there much of a change in this? Does anybody lose their job, or is they just as long as LeBron's there, they do? I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying. I mean, let's face it. He pulls a lot of strings, I assume. As long as LeBron's okay with it, then they keep just rolling on. How do you read what's going to happen, if anything, in Los Angeles with the Lakers?
Something should happen. They need a big, and if they can't pull that off, then what are you going to do? What type of decisions you going? Something needs to happen. It really does. Is this going to be the LeBron era still? Is it going to be the Luka era? What are we doing? At the end of the day, is it Luka's team or is it LeBron's team? And that's what it's going to come down to. Is he going to fade out, and it starts being Luka's team, or is he going to still try to control it while Luka's on there? And at the end of the day, if they're transitioning on to Luka, then transition on to him, because right now this isn't going to work.
All right.
Do you think there's any, not bad blood, but do you think those two on the same team are a good mix, or is there a problem like too many large egos? I'm not knocking them. They're gifted athletes, obviously, but is there too much of that, like two dominant guys, personality-wise and talent-wise, that maybe aren't a good mix, or am I reading it incorrectly?
I don't think it's an ego problem. I just think it's a basketball problem. Both of them need the ball in their hands. Both of them dominate the basketball. You need another star that don't really maybe that can score the basketball but don't dominate it. Both of them need to dribble the ball up the court. Both of them need to run the offense. Both of them need to make plays. Both of them need to totally control the game. How can both of them be effective if both of them need to control the game?
I want to ask you one last question on NBA, and Norm, he wants you to talk wrestling. All right, we got to talk about Greg Popovich. Popovich, he had some scare and he stepped down and all that. And nobody knows him better than probably you. All right, so give me your thoughts on Pop.
Well, I never played for Pop, but what he has done for the game and the city of San Antonio, it's tremendous what he did on the sideline. Now he stepped away from the sideline and now he's the president. So he's still involved. You know, he's still involved. He's still involved in making decisions with the team personnel and everything. So he is still there. He's not like totally gone. But his coaching presence on the sideline, his experience, his decision making to win games and know how to coach personnel, that's going to be missing. You know, and what he did for San Antonio for numerous years was unbelievable. And it's second to none. And, you know, shouts out to Pop for being an outstanding coach.
All right, Norm, do you have any final NBA questions, or you want to start off with a wrestling question?
No, I'll just add to Greg Popovich. I only got to talk to him a couple of times when San Antonio was in to play the Raptors. But I found that, you know, at first I was a little intimidated by the guy, Tracy, because of his legendary status and everything that he's accomplished. But I found of all the things that was pleasantly surprising, and maybe you can extrapolate on this based on your knowledge of him. He went out of his way to actually, you know, kind of have a laugh with me, to relax me, you know, so he could tell I was a little bit nervous. And I thought, wow, imagine, you know, a legendary guy like that trying to make me feel accommodated so I'm more comfortable doing the interview with him, because he could tell I was a little bit intimidated. Does that surprise you at all, Tracy?
No, it doesn't surprise me. And you're talking like I've had this relationship with him. I really haven't had this relationship with him. I'm like everybody else. I observe from a distance. I don't really know Coach Pop like that, but what he has contributed to the game is second to none.
Got it.
Fair enough. We'll close the NBA talk with a little wrestling talk. A little birdie has told me, first of all, we'll talk WrestleMania in a second, but little birdie has told me somebody and a little girl attended TNA wrestling there, and you slipped my number to Tessa, right? You slipped the number to Tessa, right? How was TNA? Is there any difference? They were in Irvine, California, and you saw Joe Hendry and everything. Yes. How was that?
It was an outstanding experience, especially for my daughter, Tiana. She, got to be there on the front row and got to interact with the wrestlers. When they come out, the heels were chomping at her, and then she got to, interact back, and she enjoyed that whole experience. Shout out to Ross Foreman. He's been my guy for many, many years. Just got hired, promoted to vice president. So
yes,
shout out to Ross, man. He's always been a stand-up guy, a great guy. He said he was sitting there and he was like, man, I'm in Irvine. Wait a minute, the last time I was here, Tracy was here, and then he called me out of nowhere, like on Tuesday, and we were chopping it up for a second, and he said that they were going to have 2 shows, and I had to speak to a college on Thursday, so I was able to make it on the Friday night. So I was, able to bring the kids, and we had a good time. Everybody was tremendous with my family, first class, everything. Shout out to Ross Foreman and everybody and all the TNA talent. And, thank you for hosting us. You guys are tremendous people.
Norm's favorite guy is Robert E. Stone. He wanted to be, he wanted to take Norm as a client, but Norm refused because he's not from Syracuse. All right. So, and by the way, I like Tessa Blanchard's new entrance theme music. Put it that way. Entrance, Diamant, never mind. All right. So now,
you know what? Tessa was unbelievable with my daughter. She really was, and and she also remembers her name. Tessa was fantastic with my daughter. I shout out to Tessa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and overall the experience TNA, really, really good experience. But you've been there before with TNA.
Yeah.
Has there been any difference? Because they changed Scott D'Amore and everything like that. You see, and they now have affiliation with the WWE, right? So
Right.
Whip That Trick and Joe Henry look like they're going to go for the titles and all that stuff, right? So has there been any big change in TNA?
Well, I mean, I'm not really like up on all the changes and stuff like that, but to be there, to hang out in the back with Trick and Moose and Joe and everybody. I mean, the Hardys. I've been knowing the Hardys for years.
Yeah.
It was a great experience, and it was like catching up with people. We caught up. Those that I've known, we caught up with each other, and those that I just met. They were tremendous people. I also wanted to catch up with my neighbor and really, really good friend, Chris Bay. He was in the back. Yeah. He's recovering pretty quickly, and he looks good. And shout out to Chris and prayers for his recovery. Chris is a tremendous athlete, and he's a tremendous guy.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you this: WrestleMania, did you attend?
No, I didn't. I was. My daughters had games, so I couldn't attend, but we did watch.
Okay, Norm, I'm going to do something here. Norm, are you here?
Yeah.
All right. So thank God. All right. So Trace, Saturday, May 10th is Norm's 700th birthday. I'll leave you the floor here because I'll end it up by singing happy birthday to him. But do you want to say anything to the guy I made his career? He's living off my back. I'm a limousine riding, jet flying. He's a pizza eating, everything. Come on. You want to say happy birthday to Norm? Norm, see the things I do for you. Look.
Yeah, I know, but you have to hold the phone so I can actually hear the Tracy.
I'm not hearing here. I'm putting it louder. Hold on. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hey, Norm, happy birthday, man. He said you're 700 years old. I don't think so. But happy birthday, brother, and enjoy your day.
He's not here. He
see,
says
Joe,
happy birthday.
This up.
He hold on, I'm turning it up. He says happy birthday. You don't look a day over 850, and he's pleasure to know you. And is there any? Norm wants to know if you're going to give him a line of happy birthday, or should I sing it?
No, you're the singer. You sing happy birthday, but I just want to say happy birthday, Norm. Enjoy your day, brother, and many, many more to come.
You hear that, Norm?
No. Put it right up to the screen there, Joe.
It's right up to the screen. Go ahead. Not only do I produce, I host, I do everything. Go ahead.
I know. All right.
Happy birthday, Norm.
I didn't hear your comment, Trace. That's what I was saying to Joe.
That's all right. Happy birthday, brother. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you always come on and help us out, Trace. You're a good man. Yeah, you're a good man, actually. You're very kind. So thanks.
All right, Norm. Do you want me singing? I want Trace to do a duet, but I'll sing. All right. And Trace, you don't know. Mariah Carey taught me everything. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Watch. Norm, are you ready?
Yeah, I didn't know you could sing falsetto, Joe.
Falsetto? I don't even know.
I didn't know either.
I didn't see. He doesn't even know.
Falsetto is where you're wearing tight pants and your octaves change a little bit.
How would you know that, Norm? How would you know that?
Well, sitting and rocking in my chair, I know, Joe.
All right. Would you just be quiet so I could say this? Happy birthday to you. Now go buy me a pizza.
Ooh.
What do you mean?
I thought you was Mariah Carey. I thought you was Mariah Carey.
Are you okay? Go ahead, Norm.
Hey, Trace, with Joe's prolific singing, you have good connections down there in LA. Maybe you can get Joe a record contract.
All right, Norm, I should have hung up on you a long time ago. All right. But Trace, here, we'll close it out with wrestling here. This Saturday, actually, on Norm's birthday, it is Backlash. Randy Orton taking on Norm's champion, John Cena. You can't see him like you can't see Norm. See how I propose that? 17th time champion. Does Randy Orton become the 15th time champion?
I don't think so. I think they're going to run with this storyline all the way till December. So I think Cena's going to be on top.
All right. Are you looking forward to Backlash, or are you looking forward to Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling making its debut at Maple Leaf Gardens? Scott D'Amore is the owner, and we got a lot of guys coming. It's going to be a sensational sensation. This Saturday, not only is it Norm's 700th birthday, it is Backlash, it is Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and it's UFC 315 in Montreal. Plus,
wow, Eastern Canada's going to be on fire.
yeah, when you gonna Norm wants to know when you're gonna come to Canada to give your present to Norm for his birthday.
Why are you laughing trying to get it out though?
Norm, did you hear? Trace has a present, a toonie for you.
Toonie.
He's got a present for you.
He's got a toonie for you.
Toonie, wow. I was just gonna ask if maybe you can autograph it for me.
I haven't seen a toonie in a while.
All right, Tracy, anything else you want NBA wrestling wise or anything like that? I know Norm appreciates the birthday greeting and all that, but anything else you want to touch on?
Well, it's always fun being with you guys, man. You know, you guys, have a good rest of the week, and I look forward to catching up with you guys again soon.
Yeah, and probably we'll get you on the third round unless there's any breaking news here and everything like that. And have you talked? Norm always talks about this, and I swear, Norm, you could vouch. He says the show that we did, me, you, the cat, and Norm, was one of the best shows he's ever done. Top 5 shows in his 70-year career. Have you talked to the cat, and what did he think of Norm Rumack?
No, I haven't talked to the cat since that day about the show.
He hasn't talked to the cat. He's going to talk to him soon. He says that it sure is the best show you have done in your 70-year career. Okay, so that's it. And anything, Norm, you want to close it out? Anything you want to ask Trace?
Yeah, you remember when Trace, you can hear me. You remember when we were speaking with Kat, and I asked him of all the pro athletes, which ones are the most gifted athletes overall. And remember, he highlighted a wrestler who put him in a hold, even though he was a great linebacker in college football and could pin guys down without much of a sweat as a linebacker. And he was talking about a certain wrestler who put him in a hold and he couldn't get out of it. Do you agree with him if you consider all the athleticism of all the pro athletes, including the ones in the NBA? Would wrestlers, and Joe, if you can hold the phone real close so I can hear his answer, it'd be great. If you consider all the athletes in all the sports, would you also agree with Kat that the wrestlers are the strongest, toughest, and most gifted athletically in terms of the demands on their job?
Well, most of the wrestlers, entertainment aside, they're athletes, and wrestlers are amongst the most well-conditioned, strongest athletes that you can come up against. And they know how to pretzel you up in many different ways. And, if I was going to go fight somebody, I wouldn't want to fight a wrestler. I wouldn't. Because, and I'm not talking about pro wrestlers, I'm talking about a real wrestler. Those guys, they don't know when to stop. They just keep going.
All right, so we have one last question. And, of course, the Maple Leafs are in the second round of the playoffs. I know Trace is a big Maple Leaf fan. Right, Trace, you learned how to skate and all that. Maple Leafs are taking on.
No, I never learned how to skate.
Well, he did it. Norm told me he taught you. All right,
me and ice skates don't get along, brother.
All right, so same like Jesse Lynch, we did it before. I'm going to ask you: Maple Leafs are taking on the reigning, defending Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. Who do you like in this series?
Come on, I'm going with the Leafs, man. Come on, don't ask me that question.
All right. See, Norm? See? There's a leaf blower staying a leaf blower, unlike you.
Oh, Tracy picked the Leafs?
Yes.
Yes.
And how many
I'm
games?
picking the Leafs.
He's saying the Leafs at 7.
Okay, well, it should be a great series, that's for sure. So,
let's go Leafs. Let's go Leafs. Let's
go Leafs. Go. Go Leafs. Go. Leafs forever.
Go Leafs. Go.
All right. Trace has to go, and he wants. He's getting your toonie ready for your birthday on Saturday. All right, Norm. So say any last comments to Tracy Murray, the long range bomber.
Okay, make sure you can hear me there, Joe. Put it right up to the screen there. I'm relying
Yes, yes. I'm the host. I'm the producer. This guy's the. Norm, you should pay me what I pay you. Come on. Look, Tracy's laughing like crazy. Look, he almost fell off his chair. Somebody call my mama.
Yeah. Hey, Trace, not to worry. I'm writing Joe a check. It has 6 zeros in it, but 6 zeros from front to back. So I try to.
And that's supposed to be funny. Well, when's the last time you dropped some money? Come on. Hurry up. You're lucky it's your birthday. Anyway, and any fan who wants to send Norm some money, some geld, some anything like that, send it to me first. And remember, he's 700 years old. Not everybody is 700, all right? He wants, what do you want? A blonde hair?
He's a late night vampire. That's why he's 7 years old.
Yeah, but it's in the daytime now. So, Norm lost his edge. He's saying you're the late night vampire. How does it feel to be a late night vampire, just never doing shows at late night no more?
Well,
look, the room is dark.
Older, so we got to slow down a little bit and get our sleep. So, I'm sure even Tracy, as a former pro athlete and still a legendary athlete in terms of the better shape he's in than most of the rest of the world, I'm sure he appreciates. Hey, Trace, the older we get, we need more sleep, don't we?
Absolutely.
Norm, the show has gone 37 minutes. I've been sleeping for 37 minutes since you're talking. All right. So, anyways,
you've been sleeping for a long time.
Yeah, I don't sleep. I think about ways how to pull you over here.
See, Tracy, I got him back finally, eh?
All right, enough. All right, so that's then Tracy Murray, the second round NBA playoff preview. We'll get Tracy on the third round. And Trace, if you're good to Norm for his birthday present, I'll tell them to spend a little bit of, open that wallet and it's full with dust and all that, to send you to the NBA Finals where him can meet with Rihanna and all that, and you do your job, and I just, me and Rihanna go, we work.
Maybe you need to meet with her then, since you guys go back.
Thank you, Rihanna. You see, even Tracy Murray, the long-range bomber, a former All-Star, a Hall of Famer, everything, says me and you should go on a date. All right, there it is from Tracy Murray. He said, Norm, you hear that? Tracy Murray said it even.
I don't know.
I don't know either, Norm.
Rihanna would need to keep her umbrella to keep you from a fair distance, Joe.
We won't touch that one, umbrella. We won't touch that one, all right? So that's it. Trace, any last comments?
Have a good one.
He says, Norm, happy birthday. Have a good one. That's Tracy Murray, Norm Rumack. I'm never going to do this again, Norm, so you better learn how to do this properly. But that's Tracy Murray. Stay tuned to more great programming on the Fired Up Network. Thanks a lot, Trace and Norm.
No problem.